Welcome to the Build a Brand Show. I'm Kate Ladon, host of Build a Brand and founder of Brandwise Media. In our weekly show, we cover all things personal branding, equip you with tools and strategies to grow your online following and solidify your position as a thought leader in your industry. This week, we're talking about a language hack that, when utilized, will make all the difference for your personal brand. No matter which platform or type of content you're creating, you're going to want to pay attention to this important language strategy when you're building your personal brand. The impact of language is immeasurable. One word used here or there can make all the difference when it comes to establishing trust and creating conversions for your brand. And this week, the word in question is I. That's right, the pronoun I. Now, many of us, when we're creating our personal brand content, unknowingly overuse this word. I think, I experienced, I've been through this, la, 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 la. And when it comes to a concept like personal branding, it's fair to think that you have to talk about yourself a lot. However, the more impactful personal brands, the ones that are really converting their audience, the ones that are profitable in addition to being popular, they're the ones that are focusing on you, their audience member. They're using language that really vividly paints the picture of your life, what you're going through, where you want to be, how you can use these tools. And this isn't just some marketing hack either. In fact, continual studies point to the prevalence of the word I and how it erodes credibility. In fact, a study by the University of Texas came out that showed when people overuse the word I or use it more, they're usually in positions of lower authority or power. They're trying to puff themselves up or inflate themselves. And again, ultimately, we unknowingly do this. It is something that is secondhand when we're creating content. So, how can you switch this? How can you create language and content that is more powerful? Well, if you're writing, you want to write out your content post and then edit and see how many times you're using I versus you. Second thing you want to do is think about stories in your life that you want to share. Now, typically we're going to share them from a first person standpoint, but in this case, you'll want to do a great job of correlating it to the audience's perspective or where they're at in the time of hearing the story or what's relatable. So, for example, I might be telling a story about how I started and grew my business and say stuff like, now you may be experiencing the exact same thing that I was back then. You may be in a position where, like myself, you have, 7 employees and you're close to $1 million and you're really looking for what the next thing you can do to cross that $1 million threshold is. This is a common problem and challenge for small business owners like yourself, but it's totally doable for you to cross that threshold to $1 million, just like I did 7 years ago. You see how in telling the story of where I was with my business and how often I try to, position it back to the you, that's going to be incredibly effective. So, number one, when you're writing content, edit for the amount of times you're saying I versus you. When you're telling stories, look for opportunities to interject where your clients are on their journey and then relate your story to the exact challenges they're going through. Now, in addition to storytelling, which is usually past-based, another really effective tool you can use when you're building your personal brand is to do future pacing with your audience. This is where you paint a vivid picture of how your audience member or your ideal client avatar's life will look when they reach some stated objective or goal that you can help them overcome. So when you're creating content, think about how your prospect is feeling and how they want to feel, how their dream life will be, and then vividly paint that picture for them. Oh my goodness, imagine it's 5 years from now, you've crossed the threshold past $1 million in revenue, you've brought on a COO, they're running the business for you, and you experience more freedom to put that into your passion projects. So you're working less in the business and more on the business. How do I know this is possible? Because I went through the same thing 7 years ago. And I'm telling you right now, with a lot of my clients, this one hang up from crossing this threshold from where they are to past $1 million and starting to work on their business versus in their business is something you can absolutely do. We just have to change this one thing thing for you. See what I did there? So I'm future pacing them. 5 years from now, imagine what your life will look like. So again, to recap, you want to look at your written content when you're creating, a post and audit for the amount of times you're using I versus you. When storytelling, connect the story to where your audience is in their journey and really paint the picture of how their challenges relate to your challenges that you were experiencing. And then, of course, future pace for them. Walk them through what their life is going to look like once you help them, or what their life can look like once they get over something. By doing this, you keep your personal brand squarely where it needs to be, in service of your audience, and you prevent it from just being self-absorbed or a lot of content about yourself, which ultimately, while you're the creator, you shouldn't always be the subject. Remember, your audience is the subject. They're always thinking from the standpoint of what's in it for me, and it's your job to paint that picture clearly for them. When you're a creator, when you're building a personal brand, remember, it's all about the people you serve and not about you. You're the teacher here. So remember, when you're creating your personal brand, keep it focused on the main thing, which is your audience. Use the word you liberally and frequently, and remember, excessive use of the word I can undermine your credibility and authority. If you like this video and you want to check out others, subscribe to the channel, and as always, submit your idea or challenge of what you're going through in building your personal brand. We'll be sure to create a video for it and include it in the weekly series. Thanks, and see you next time.